Evan, a human explorer, sat inside his small research tent on the alien world of Thalion. The night was silent outside, but the wind still made the tent walls shake like thin paper. Evan was fixing a broken scanner, trying to understand the minerals in the desert, when he heard a soft voice behind him. Human. What is this? The voice was tiny, curious, innocent. It was Lyra, the young alien girl who always followed him around like a shadow. She looked maybe 9 or 10 in human years, with silver blue skin and bright purple eyes that glowed when she was excited. Evan turned slowly and froze. Lyra was holding something she should never be holding, a book. A very specific book. It was a human biology book about reproduction, something every human school taught openly. But here, on Thalion, even speaking about reproduction was forbidden. The Alien Council treated the topic like a dark crime. No one talked about it. No one taught it. No child ever asked questions about where life came from. But now a child, an alien child, was holding the book openly with small, curious hands, and she was reading the title out loud again. Books about proper reproduction? Humans are strange, she said, confused. Why would anyone write a whole book about this? Evan's heart almost stopped. If a guard heard her now, if anyone from the council walked past the tent, he reached out fast and grabbed the book from her, but not roughly. Lyra, you can't hold this, he whispered. You must not speak about this book outside, ever. She tilted her head. Her antenna-like ear frills twitched. Why? It is only a book. It has pictures. It explains things. My people never explain anything. We are told to ask no questions. That's the problem, Evan said softly. Lyra sat down in front of him, crossing her legs like a small student. She stared at him with wide, glowing eyes. Human, why do you smile when you say learning is good, but you look afraid now? Evan did not smile. He heard footsteps outside. Heavy footsteps. Metal armor. Light beams sweeping across the sand. The guards. Someone must have seen Lyra enter his tent. Someone maybe saw her holding the book. Maybe someone reported him. Humans were still new on this planet. Many aliens feared them. The council was strict about what humans could teach or show. Evan quickly pushed the book into his backpack and zipped it. His hands shook. Lyra, listen to me. You didn't do anything wrong. But the council doesn't like humans teaching children. They think humans bring strange ideas. But isn't learning good? She asked again. Yes, it is, Evan whispered. But not everyone agrees. The light outside grew brighter. The shadow of 3 guards stood at the front of his tent. Lyra gasped. She grabbed Evan's sleeve. Did they come for you? Did I make trouble? Before Evan could answer, a deep voice called from outside. Human researcher Evan Carter. Step out of the tent. We have questions. Lyra's fingers dug into his arm. Her whole body trembled. She whispered, Please don't go. Evan knew he had no choice. If he stayed inside, they would break in. And then they might find the book. Or accuse him of far worse. But he also knew something else. If Lyra showed fear. If she said even one wrong word. The guards might take her too. He knelt down to her eye level. Lyra, look at me, he said softly. You did nothing wrong. But you must not mention the book. Not one word. Do you understand? She swallowed hard. But why is it so dangerous to learn where babies come from? Why is it allowed for humans but not for us? Evan wished he could explain. But there was no time. The guards tapped on the metal pole of the tent. The entire frame shook. Human, now. Evan stood up, his heart burning with fear. He took a deep breath and stepped toward the exit. Before leaving, he looked back at Lyra. She sat there, hugging her knees, her glowing eyes full of worry and confusion. She whispered one last question, barely a breath. Human. Why does knowledge scare them more than monsters? Evan had no answer, because he did not know yet that this small question, from this small alien girl, would shake the entire planet, and the guards waited outside, ready to drag him into the darkness for the truth he had not yet spoken. Evan stepped out of the tent with slow, steady steps. 3 alien guards stood there, tall and strong, wearing dark armor that reflected the twin moons above. Their glowing helmets made them look less like soldiers and more like silent machines. One guard, the leader, pointed a scanner at him. "Human Evan Carter," the guard said in a cold voice. "We received reports that an alien child entered your tent and asked forbidden questions. You will answer to the council." Lyra, still inside the tent, watched through a small slit in the fabric. Her hands shook. She wanted to run out and shout that she was the one asking questions, not Evan, but she remembered his warning. She stayed silent, hugging her knees, trying not to cry. Evan kept his voice calm. "I am only helping with research. The child came to bring me water. Nothing more." The guards did not look convinced. "Follow us," the leader said. "The council dislikes any unusual contact between humans and our young." Evan walked with them toward the center of the colony. The path glowed with soft blue lights, and the air smelled of metal and dust. Every alien who passed stared at him, not with hatred, but with fear. Humans were still new here, strange, mysterious, and the council kept telling the people that humans might change their traditions if allowed. Inside the tent, Lyra wiped her eyes and stood up. She hated feeling helpless. She wanted to understand why her people feared simple questions. Why was knowledge treated like a dangerous weapon? She stepped outside silently and followed the guards at a distance. Her small feet made almost no sound on the dust. The council hall was a large circular chamber built from gray stone. The ceiling was shaped like a giant shell, glowing softly from inside. When Evan entered, several council members were already waiting, sitting on raised seats shaped like curved claws. The oldest council member, Elder Vorian, leaned forward. His skin was pale and his eyes dim, ancient eyes that had seen many years. "Human," he said, "we heard that a youngling asked you questions about life. Private life." Evan nodded slowly. "Children ask questions. It is normal." "Not here," Vorian said sharply. "We do not speak of reproduction. It causes disorder." Evan frowned. "But it is science. It is basic knowledge. Why hide it?" The room grew tense. A few council members exchanged looks. One whispered loudly, "Humans are too open. They speak of things we decided to bury long ago." Evan felt a spark of anger. Burying knowledge only makes fear stronger. The guards stepped closer, sensing a challenge. But Vorian raised his hand to stop them. "You will not teach our children," Vorian said. "You will not answer their questions. And you will not allow a child into your tent alone again. Do you understand?" Evan stayed quiet. Part of him wanted to shout. Part of him wanted to ask why a simple question from a child created so much panic. But he also knew one wrong word could ban humans from the planet forever. Finally he said, "I understand." Vorian nodded. "Good, return to your station. And keep your human books hidden." The guards escorted him out of the hall. When they turned away, Evan noticed a small shadow behind a pillar. Lyra. Her eyes were full of guilt and worry. When the guards left, she ran to him. "I followed you," she whispered. "I was scared." "Did they hurt you?" "No, Lyra," he said softly. "I am fine. But you must understand something. Your people have very old rules. They do not want younglings learning certain things." "Why?" she asked. "Why is knowing about life dangerous? Why can your children learn freely but ours cannot?" Evan sighed. "I am not sure yet. But I think your leaders fear questions they cannot control." Lyra's eyes brightened with frustration. But how can truths be dangerous? How can knowledge harm anyone? Evan gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Sometimes people in power fear change. They fear what questions will lead to. Lyra looked down. I only wanted to understand where we come from. My mother never explained. My teachers never explain. They say, do not ask, but I want to know. Evan crouched down. I know, Lyra, and you deserve to know. Every child does. She looked into his eyes with new determination. Then I want to learn human, even if it is forbidden. Will you teach me? Evan's heart tightened. He remembered the council's threat, but he also remembered the fear in her voice and the courage in her eyes. Yes, he whispered. But we must be careful. The night wind blew gently around them as they walked back toward the research tent, unaware that someone in the shadows was watching them closely, recording every word. And trouble, much bigger trouble, was already on the way. Evan and Lyra returned to the research tent in silence. The moons were higher now, pouring soft silver light across the sand. The colony behind them glowed like a quiet blue city, but Evan felt no peace. His mind kept replaying the council's cold warnings. Inside the tent, Lyra sat on the floor, hugging her knees. She looked small, too small to carry such heavy questions. Evan placed a cup of warm liquid in front of her. Drink, he said gently. She nodded, sipping slowly. Human, can we still learn? Evan hesitated. The safe answer was no. The right answer, the human answer, was yes. He sat down across from her. Lyra, learning is not wrong. Asking questions is never wrong, but we must be careful. The council watches everything. She glanced at the tent flap as if expecting guards to jump in at any moment. They fear knowledge, she whispered. I saw their faces. They look angry when someone speaks of truth. Evan reached for his bag and pulled out a small notebook, not the forbidden biology book, but something safer. A simple science journal full of diagrams, drawings, and human handwriting. We will start here, he said softly. Lyra's eyes lit up. She leaned closer. On the first page was a drawing of a sun and planets orbiting it. Stars, Evan explained. Worlds, moons, this is how our universe moves. Lyra touched the picture with gentle fingers. No one ever taught us this, she whispered. They say the sky is sacred. They say we must not question it. Evan shook his head. Questions do not destroy things. They help us understand. Lyra smiled a small, brave smile. For the next hour, Evan taught her simple astronomy, easy physics, and basic biology without using any forbidden words. He used sketches, shapes, and little examples. But Lyra was smart, too smart. She connected ideas faster than he expected. When Evan drew a circle and labeled it cell, she whispered, "Is this where life begins?" Evan paused. His hand froze mid-drawing. He did not want to lie to her. Yes, he said quietly. A cell is the start of life. Lyra lowered her head. Human. My teachers never told us anything like this. They tell us life is a gift of the winds, a mystery. Something we must accept without question. Evan could hear the heartbreak in her voice, Before he could answer, a soft buzzing sound came from outside the tent. Evan's blood ran cold. A drone. He peeked through the slit of the tent fabric. A small silver sphere floated silently above the sand, scanning the area with a red blinking eye. "Get down," Evan whispered. Lyra lay flat on the floor, covering her glowing eyes with her hands. Evan switched off all lights. Darkness filled the tent. The drone hovered closer. Evan recognized the model. It was a council surveillance drone. It could detect heat, sound, even heartbeat patterns. Had someone sent it? Was it searching for him? Or searching for Lyra? The drone stopped right outside the tent entrance. A thin blue beam scanned the doorway. Lyra trembled. Her small body shook with fear. Evan moved beside her, shielding her with his arm. "Stay still," he whispered. The beam passed over the tent one more time. Then the drone floated away silently, disappearing into the night. Lyra exhaled shakily. "They are watching us," she whispered. "Yes," Evan said, "and I think someone reported us." Lyra's eyes widened. Who would do that? Evan did not know. The colony was full of frightened adults who feared the council's punishments. Maybe someone saw Lyra enter the tent earlier. Maybe someone heard her voice. He closed the notebook gently. "We have to stop for now." Lyra shook her head. "No, I want to learn. I want to know why we are alive, why they keep secrets. Please, human, do not stop." Her voice cracked. She was not being rebellious, she was desperate. Evan sighed. He could not deny her the truth, not after seeing her hunger for knowledge. But he also knew the danger was growing. "Lyra," he said softly, "if we continue, the council might punish you." "Not just me." She lifted her chin. "Knowledge is worth danger." Evan stared at her, shocked. Such courage in such a small child. It reminded him of human history, of children who once fought for the right to learn, to read, to know the world. He nodded slowly. "Very well, but we must be careful. We must hide in safer places, away from the colony." Lyra's eyes brightened. "Where?" Evan pointed toward the rocky hills in the distance. "There, the caves. They block drone signals. No one listens inside." A new spark filled Lyra's eyes, hope mixed with fear. But neither of them noticed the small recording device hidden under a pile of crates in the corner of the tent. A tiny red dot blinked slowly. Someone had planted it. Someone was listening. Someone wanted the council to know everything. The next morning came with a thin blue sunrise crawling over the desert. Evan barely slept. Lyra slept curled up near the tent wall, her breathing soft and uneven, as if her dreams were full of fear. Evan quietly packed a small bag with notebooks, pencils, and a portable shield device for the caves. He planned to take Lyra there later that day. The caves were the only safe place left now. But before he could wake her, a loud metallic knock shook the tent poles. Clang, clang, clang. Evan froze. Lyra's eyes snapped open. "Human Evan Carter," a deep voice called from outside. "By order of the High Council, you are to come with us at once." Lyra grabbed his hand. "No. No, human, please don't go. They were angry last time. They will not listen." Evan forced a small smile. "I have to go, Lyra. If I refuse, they will drag me out. That would be worse." He squeezed her hand, then gently let go. "Hide the notebooks," he whispered. "All of them, and stay inside." Lyra nodded quickly and ran to the back of the tent. Her small hands moved fast, burying the notebooks under blankets and empty supply boxes. Evan stepped outside before the guards could enter. 3 guards stood, waiting, but this time they were armed with long staff-like weapons. Their helmets were darker, and their posture stricter. Something felt different, heavier, more dangerous. "Walk," the leader ordered. Evan followed them across the colony toward the council hall. Aliens whispered as he passed. Some looked frightened. Some looked angry. Some looked confused. A few even stepped back, as if he carried a deadly disease. The guards entered the hall first, then pushed the doors open for him. The chamber felt colder today. The seats of the council were filled, every elder present. Elder Vorian leaned forward. "Human," he said sharply. "We received concerning information." Evan kept his voice steady. "What information?" Vorian tapped a small device. A projection lit up the air. Evan's heart dropped. It was a recording. His own voice, Lyra's voice. Their entire conversation from last night. Every question she asked. Every answer he gave. Every forbidden topic. A hidden recorder. Someone had planted it inside the tent. The council members murmured angrily. The crowd of officers around the hall watched with cold eyes. Evan clenched his fists. "This is taken out of context. She asked simple questions. I gave simple explanations. Nothing dangerous." Vorian slammed on the table. "You taught a child knowledge that has been forbidden for generations. You told her truth that disrupts our foundation." Evan stepped forward. "I told her basic science. Why is it forbidden for your children to know how life works?" The council chamber erupted in loud whispers. Another elder stood. Her voice was harsh. "Because knowledge brings rebellion. Curiosity is a seed of chaos. Our traditions must remain untouched." Evan stared at them with disbelief. "You are afraid of questions. You are afraid of a child's mind." Vorian pointed at him with anger burning in his dim eyes. "You, human, will leave this world if you continue to interfere. We gave you permission to study our land, not our children." Evan held his ground. "I didn't interfere. She came to me. She wanted answers. And I will not punish her for wanting to understand the truth." The guards tightened their grip on their weapons. The elders looked shocked that he dared speak so boldly. Vorian took a deep breath. "We cannot allow your influence to spread. If alien children begin questioning their origins, they will question everything. We will not let our society break because of a human's curiosity." Evan raised his voice. "Ignoring knowledge doesn't protect a society, it weakens it." Silence fell. Heavy, cold, dangerous. Finally Vorian said, "You are forbidden from speaking to the youngling again. If she approaches you, you must send her away. If you disobey, we will remove you from Thelion permanently." Evan felt a sharp pain in his chest. He imagined Lyra's face if he told her he could no longer teach her. He imagined the heartbreak in her glowing eyes. He bowed his head slightly. "I understand your order," he said slowly. "But know this, children will always seek truth, whether you forbid it or not." Some elders gasped. The guards stepped forward threateningly. But Vorian lifted his hand, signaling not to attack. "Return to your tent. We will be watching you," Vorian said coldly. Evan left the hall with a storm brewing inside him. He walked fast, his mind racing, his heart pounding, but he did not know that Lyra had followed him again. She hid behind a pillar near the council hall entrance, and she heard every word. Her hands shook, her cheeks glowed with fear and anger. Tears formed in her eyes. She whispered to herself, voice trembling, "If they will not answer my questions, I will find answers myself." And with that, she ran toward the forbidden place. No child ever dared to enter the ancient library, sealed for generations. Her small feet carried her straight toward danger, and toward the truth the council feared most. Lyra ran from the council hall with her heart beating like drums inside her chest. Her small feet kicked up dust as she sprinted through empty pathways, moving faster than she ever had before. She didn't look back. She didn't stop. She didn't breathe properly. She just ran. The ancient library stood far from the main colony, quiet, cracked, and covered with old metal seals. Children were forbidden to go near it. Adults avoided it with fear. The council said the library held dangerous ideas from a forgotten age. But Lyra no longer believed the council. Evan had shown her one small piece of truth, and that tiny piece opened a giant hole in her world. Now she wanted answers the council refused to give. She reached the tall, broken doors of the library. They were sealed with a thick chain and glowing symbols. Her small hand touched the metal. It felt cold, almost alive. "Please," she whispered. "Open." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the symbols flickered weak. Tired, ancient. The chain unlocked by itself, like a machine recognizing her presence. The doors slowly creaked open, releasing a gust of dry air that smelled of dust and forgotten history. Lyra stepped inside. The library was dark at first, but her glowing purple eyes slowly adjusted. Rows of tall shelves stretched upward like the ribs of a giant creature. Old books, real books, not digital screens, lay scattered across. Tables and floors. The air felt sacred, heavy, full of stories that no one had touched in a long time. Lyra walked deeper. She felt her heart pulling her somewhere, like she was meant to be here. On a cracked table, she found a lamp with a small crystal inside. When she touched it, the lamp glowed to life. Soft white light covered the room. She gasped. Before her lay dozens of ancient books with alien symbols, and some books that looked surprisingly human. Like Dot, she picked up one thin silver book. The cover read, "Origins of the Thalian People, True Biological History." Her hands shook. The council had always said their origins were mystical, sacred, gift of the winds. But now she held a book that promised real explanations. She opened it. Inside were diagram cells, bodies, organs, pictures of their own kind at different stages of life. It explained everything the council refused to teach. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Her people once knew these truths. They once taught them freely. They once believed in knowledge, not fear. Page after page, she learned. Her species had once been open thinkers. Their ancestors studied science. They taught children how life worked. They celebrated curiosity. But then a political group rose, the early council. They claimed too much knowledge caused rebellion. They said ignorance brings order. They rewrote their history. They hid the truth. They sealed the library. Lyra whispered, "They lied to us. They lied to everyone." Her tears fell on the pages. She turned another page and froze. There was an old drawing of a human and a Thalian standing together, friends. The text said they had peaceful contact long before modern times, long before today's council warned the people to fear humans. The lie was bigger than she imagined. Her breath grew shaky. Her chest felt tight. But she was not afraid anymore. She was angry. A soft rustling sound came from behind her. She spun. Around. A tall shadow stood at the doorway. Her heart jumped, but then she recognized the shape. "Evan?" she whispered. The human explorer stepped into the room, breathing heavily. His face was pale, but his eyes filled with worry. "Lyra, I've been looking everywhere. What are you doing here?" "This place is..." His eyes widened as he saw the open book. He walked closer and picked it up gently. "This is your people's biology," he whispered. "Real science, not myths." Lyra nodded quickly. "My people knew the truth once, but the council erased it. They made us afraid." Evan looked around the library, disbelief and sadness on his face. "Your world didn't lose knowledge. It was stolen." Lyra grabbed his sleeve. Human, we must show this to everyone. They need to know. They need to see the truth. Evan hesitated. Lyra, if we reveal this, the council will fight back. They will try to silence us. They may even try to. Her voice cracked, but she spoke with strength. I am not scared anymore. I am tired of lies. I am tired of being told to never ask questions. If we don't do this, no one will. Evan looked into her glowing eyes full of fire, truth, and courage far too big for a child. He nodded slowly. We'll show them, he said. We will bring the truth back to your world. But neither of them noticed the small shimmer in the corner of the library. A recording. Drone. Silent. Hidden. Watching. And it flew away the moment they turned their backs, carrying everything. It saw straight to the council. The storm was coming. Evan and Lyra left the ancient library just before dusk. The sky above Thalion burned with orange and violet streaks, but neither of them looked up. They walked fast, clutching the ancient book in Lyra's hands. Its pages were old, fragile, and filled with truths that could tear the colony apart. As they approached the colony gates, Evan noticed something strange. Too many guards, standing in too many places, watching every direction. His stomach tightened. Lyra, stay close. She pressed against his side, her small fingers gripping his sleeve. When they stepped onto the main street, they saw hundreds of aliens gathering in the central square. A giant hologram platform in the center glowed bright blue, but nothing was displayed yet. What is happening? Lyra asked. Evan didn't answer. He already suspected. A loud horn blared across the colony. Everyone fell silent. Then a tall guard announced, Citizens of Thalion, the High Council will make an emergency declaration. The crowd murmured. Lyra swallowed hard. Evan covered her hand with his own. Council members stepped onto the high platform. Elder Vorian stood in front, the same cold expression, but something sharper in his eyes today. Around him were leaders, advisors, and armed guards. Vorian raised his hand. Silence spread like ice. My people, he said, voice booming through speakers, we have discovered something deeply dangerous. A human has broken our sacred laws. He has entered forbidden places. He has taught a child the knowledge that our ancestors sealed away for our safety. Gasps traveled through the colony. Lyra trembled. They know, she whispered. Evan's jaw tightened. He scanned the rooftops. Yes, drones hovered everywhere. The recording drone from the library must have come straight here. Vorian continued. For generations, we kept certain truths hidden to protect our society. Knowledge is powerful, and it can destroy order. But the human and the youngling have tried to undermine our traditions. Suddenly, the hologram lit up. Images appeared. Lyra reading an ancient book. Evan explaining drawings. Both of them speaking inside the Forbidden library. The crowd gasped again, louder this time. Lyra clutched her chest. Tears rose in her eyes. They spied on us. They watched everything. Evan put a hand on her shoulder. This isn't your fault. But Lyra shook her head. They will blame you. They will blame me. And she was right. Vorian pointed at the hologram. This is the danger humans bring. They fill our children's minds with unwanted questions. The crowd whispered in fear, but then something unexpected happened. A voice from the crowd shouted, She is only a child. Another voice cried, Why is learning a crime? A third voice said, Why do we hide our own history? Vorian's eyes narrowed. He quickly raised his hand to silence them, but the whispers continued. Lyra stepped forward, wiping her tears. Evan, I want to speak. He turned to her in shock. Lyra, no. They will punish you. Let me handle this. But she shook her head. No, this is my world. My people. I must speak for them. Before Evan could stop her, she ran toward the platform. Her small feet climbed the stone steps. The guards moved to block her, but the crowd suddenly murmured, then parted, allowing her through. Even the guards hesitated. She was only a child after all. Lyra stepped onto the platform with glowing eyes and shaking hands. She faced the entire colony. Vorian glared at her. "Child, step down. You do not belong here." But Lyra lifted the ancient book high in the air. Everyone went silent. "This book," she said loudly, "belongs to all of us. Our ancestors wrote it. They wanted us to understand who we are." The crowd leaned closer. Even the guards looked uncertain. Lyra opened the book. "You say this knowledge is dangerous. But look." Her voice cracked. "It is only truth. Our bodies, our creation, our real history." An elder shouted, "Silence! You know nothing." Lyra stepped forward boldly. "Then why did you hide this? Why did you erase our past? Why did you tell us we came from the winds when the truth is written right here?" She held up a page showing biological diagrams of the Thalian species. Many aliens gasped. Some covered their mouths. Some reached out as if they wanted to touch the truth themselves. The colony was breaking apart, fear and curiosity fighting inside every mind. Evan, watching from the ground, felt pride swelling in his chest. Lyra had more courage than anyone in this world. Vorian shouted, "Enough! Guards, remove the child." But when the guards stepped forward, the crowd moved to block them. Dozens of aliens stood shoulder to shoulder, raising their hands. "She speaks truth. Let her talk. Why hide our history?" Vorian's face darkened. The council members whispered nervously. Lyra raised her voice one last time. "We deserve to know who we are. Children deserve answers. Knowledge is not a weapon, it is light." Her words echoed across the entire colony. The crowd roared in support. The guards stopped. The council froze. The truth had broken free. And nothing would stop it now. But the council would not give up easily. A storm was coming, bigger and darker than anything before. The colony square had never been so loud. The energy in the air felt like lightning. Aliens of all ages shouted, cried, and argued. The truth, once buried deep inside the ancient library, now spread like a roaring fire. But on the platform, Lyra stood completely still, small, shaking. But unbroken, the council stared at her with anger and fear. Elder Vorian's voice trembled as he shouted, "This child brings chaos. Remove her now." But the crowd did not move. More aliens stepped forward. More voices rose. "Let her speak. We want answers. The council has lied for too long." Evan pushed his way through the crowd and climbed the steps to stand beside Lyra. He stood tall. Not as an outsider, but as someone willing to protect her, even against an entire government. When he reached her, he gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "I'm here," he whispered. Lyra nodded, her eyes shining with tears not of fear, but of hope. Vorian's voice cracked with frustration. "Human, you have destroyed our order." Evan stepped forward. "No, your fear destroyed it. Your secrecy destroyed it." She only opened the door. The elders exchanged nervous looks. Their power was slipping. The colony was no longer listening to them. Evan raised his voice so everyone could hear. "All children, human or alien, deserve knowledge, deserve truth, deserve to understand their world." Lyra only asked questions any child would ask. Lyra held up the ancient book again. "My people once knew all this. They were not afraid of learning. Why are we afraid now? A middle-aged alien stepped forward from the crowd. I lost my daughter because the healers did not understand her illness, he said softly. Maybe if we had old knowledge, maybe she would still be alive. A woman whispered, we never understood our bodies. We only guessed. We deserve better. Voices grew louder, stronger, angrier, but angrier at the council, not at Lyra. Vorian slammed his staff on the ground. Enough. Truth or lies, we cannot let children run wild. We built order. We built peace. Evan stepped forward again. Peace built on fear is not peace. Order built on lies will always collapse. A new voice echoed from the back of the crowd, an elderly woman with trembling hands. Long ago, she said, I saw the library before the council sealed it. We studied openly. Children learned science. We were not afraid. The council changed things, not for our protection, but for control. The colony gasped. A living witness. Vorian's face turned pale. Lyra looked up at Evan. Human. What now? Evan took a deep breath. Now. We choose courage. He turned to the crowd. You have a choice. Believe in fear. Or believe in truth. Stay silent. Or take back your knowledge. Silence fell. Then a small sound broke it. A child. An alien boy stepped forward, reaching out to touch Lyra's hand. I want to learn, he said simply. Another child followed. Then another. Then groups of them emerged, all walking toward Lyra and Evan, the two who dared to break the silence. The adults watched. Unsure. But something inside them softened. Soon, hundreds of aliens stood together, surrounding Lyra and Evan in a quiet circle of support. Knowledge had already won. Vorian's voice cracked. If you do this, our traditions will collapse. The elderly woman shook her head. Traditions that hide truth do not deserve to stay. Vorian looked around, realizing the truth. He had lost the people. Slowly, he stepped back. The council members whispered among themselves. Panicked but powerless, Lyra took a deep breath. Her small voice traveled far across the square. We do not want to destroy our world. We only want to understand it. We want to learn. We want the truth. Evan bent down to her level. You did it, he whispered. You changed everything. Lyra looked at him with bright eyes. No, human. We did. The sun began to rise behind them, pouring warm gold across the colony. It felt like a new dawn, not just of a day, but of an era. Aliens stepped toward the ancient library. They broke the remaining seals with their own hands. They carried out books, scrolls, and crystals. Children sat on the ground reading pages older than their grandparents. Adults cried as they discovered their forgotten history. The council members left the platform, defeated not by violence, but by truth. Evan stood beside Lyra as she watched her people open books for the first time in generations. She whispered softly, humans are strange, but maybe that is good for us. Evan smiled. Strange is another word for brave. Lyra took his hand. Will you teach us more? Evan nodded. All of you. Anyone who wants to learn. And as the colony filled with the sound of turning pages, new questions, and hopeful voices, one thing became clear. A single human and one brave alien child had brought the light back to a world that had lived in shadows for far too long. The truth had won. A new beginning had begun.